Another word that encapsulates what their convention did. I mean, they literally voted on the same weekend that Israel rescued hostages, by the way. They voted to not condemn Hamas. They voted for a ceasefire. Well, the truth is, a lot of folks, of course, we'd all love to see a ceasefire, right? But that's not the reality of the situation. But for the state Democrats to go to their convention floor and say publicly that there ought to be a ceasefire, not mention hostages, not mention the attack in which Hamas parachuted into a concert and started murdering, raping, and kidnapping people. And they could not bring themselves, I'm amazed by this. The Democrats in this state could not bring themselves to condemn that action. So you know what it is? It's a much bigger problem with them. And that is weakness begets war. It always has. And so the weakness of this administration has helped cause this problem, as far as I'm concerned. And this country, our strength, our support for Israel, of course, is important. But the fact that the Democrats could not even bring themselves to do the least thing to condemn Hamas, I think, honestly, it's just shameful. And it's part of the bigger problem that the Democrats have right now with a lot of groups that traditionally maybe have supported them in the past and are peeling away.
Does the Republican Party plan to engage this block of voters? We know the uninstructed campaign here in Wisconsin garnered about 48,000 votes in the April election. We know that President Joe Biden won by a margin of more than 21,000 votes. With the Republican Party being a strong supporter of Israel, how do you do that?
Well, what I would say to folks is that, look, and under my chairmanship, I've said I believe in campaigning in all 72 counties with all groups, with all individuals. Look, all over the state, people are upset with Joe Biden and the Democrats right now, and the polls do show that, regardless of the top line number. The polls do show that. So that's an opportunity, Republicans, that frankly we always should be taking, and that is to talk to folks in the African American community. I have an office open on the north side of Milwaukee. We'll have an office on the south side of Milwaukee in the Hispanic community. We're doing outreach this week to folks in the Jewish community. The list goes on and on. It's something we ought to be doing as a party. Sometimes I'll push the edge on some of these things sometimes because I honestly believe that. I think you have to be everywhere if you're going to be a political party that represents everyone in some form. So I think it's a terrific opportunity for us because that's what we ought to be doing as Republicans, but it's also a terrific opportunity because of Joe Biden's terrible record, and the Democratic Party convention on the issue of Israel was an example.
It was reported on Thursday that former President Donald Trump told House Republicans that, quote, Milwaukee is a horrible city for the convention this year. Members of Wisconsin's congressional delegation weighed in on that statement, but as the chairman of Wisconsin's Republican Party, how do you respond to this?
Well, as people know, I love Milwaukee. I've had an office there on and off for 30 years, and I think from what I've seen, I haven't seen a lot so far, but the president was referring to voting irregularities in Milwaukee and some of the issues we've had, which are not new, by the way, on voting irregularities in Milwaukee. I've talked to President Trump. I know he's excited about coming to Milwaukee, as I am excited as a Wisconsinite and a homer to be in Milwaukee. And I say this to people on the way over. I was talking to somebody who was like, look, President Trump, if President Trump actually thought Milwaukee was horrible, which I don't think he does at all, we wouldn't be having the convention in Milwaukee. So I don't put any credence in that.
Brian Schimming, chairman of the Wisconsin Republican Party, thank you so much for joining us on the show today.
So great to be here.
Up next, I'm joined by UW-Madison professor. His take on how the United States response to the war will impact the presidential election.